Hey guys, we're back here again with another video, and today we're gonna be painting, well, you can see behind me, it's a badass grandma, Seiko Ayase. With Dende Season 2 right around the corner, I think it's appropriate time to paint this model now, so I hope you're gonna like it. I already did all the boring stuff. I prepped the model, I sanded it. Don't wanna bother you with that anymore. Actually, here's a quick look of me taking all my gear out, hoping to enjoy the sun and the weather and send the model outside, but actually just sweating under that mask and going back inside after 10 minutes. The goal of the video is the same. I want you to be able to follow along easily. I will guide you step by step, explain everything that I do. And if you like what I got at the end and you want to get the same kind of model, or at least something very similar, you will be able to do it by following this guide. Here's the list of all the colors I used, and this is practically everything you need to follow along. This model is done by 3D Moon Studio, and you can check them out in the description below. So let's get to the fun part and start painting. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you learned something new, and I hope you get a badass model at the end. So let's get started.
Okay, so first look around the model and fill out any holes with a milliput that would be visible later on. This model has a lot of little holes, so double check later just in case. I like to leave a bit of milliput sticking out and then sand it later after it dries, instead of trying to flatten it with a model while it's still wet. Use the drain hose to put some sticks in it so you can easily paint the objects and move them around. You can get like 100 of these bamboo sticks on Temu for like $3 or something. First thing we're gonna do is prime all the parts with Vallejo Black Primer, and even though it feels like it's dry after 15 or 20 minutes, try to leave it a bit longer. I always leave it for like a few hours before starting to paint. We're gonna start with the skin tones. With the skin tones, I found that the more layers you put one on top of each other, the more realistic skin looks at the end. So in this case we're gonna put quite a few of them, but if at any point you look at your model and say, hey, this is looking pretty nice and I don't think I need to add anymore, you can freely stop. You don't need to follow me every step of the way, and if you feel like your model is looking good, just stop and move to the next step. Put the white ink over all the skin tone parts, and the places that are supposed to be in the shadows, you can leave them a bit darker. Also for now, let's pretend that the legs are part of the skin tones. Treat them the same. Even though the model has stockings on the legs, for now let's pretend it's a skin tone, paint them the same, and we're gonna do something cool later on. After the white ink, grab the red ink and put it on all the parts that we left a bit darker. Parts where shadows would form, like around the bed handle, backside of the legs, neck. Look at the finished model and see where she wears cape and all the parts that are supposed to be hidden from the sun. And on the lighter parts where sun can reach, put World Purple color. After it dries, use Agatha skin or some other skin tone that you have. We are gonna go from darker to the lighter skin tones. Thin it down, at least 50-50, and spray it all over. The paint needs to be translucent, and the color below still needs to shine through and give it undertone. Now let's use lighter skin tone called Ruby Skin. Thin it down even more, and since Seiko is pretty light skinned in anime, you can spray this one all over. maybe slow it down at the most dark places like under the cape.
You looked at me like I'm just someone else. Guess we were never meant to be ourselves. I remember when your eyes were
Also, I want to show you here something. When people say that undertone doesn't matter and you can, for example, use this latest ruby skin color right away on the model, that is very wrong. Undertone matters a lot, and just look at the difference between the pure color and when we sprayed it on the prepared undertone. Now we're gonna take Dorado skin color, which is the lightest skin color we're gonna use, and we're gonna paint it over all the parts where we expect highlights to be formed, like top of the muscles, forehead, everywhere where you think the sun can directly reach and shine on. Next, use some Raycon flash shade to shade the skin. Put it in all the places that are supposed to be in the shadows. Bendy places, concave places. You can make a muscle separation with it, and since it's a shade, leave it to dry a bit longer.
someone else. Guess we were never meant to be ourselves. In the silence, there's a storm inside my heart, tearing through the pieces of what we were. If you could see the scars we've left apart.
Now grab red tone wash from Warpaints. And just a note, shade and wash are the same thing, it's just the different manufacturers. Spray it lightly everywhere, especially where we didn't put the Raycon flash shade, and this will bring back a bit of the reddish skin and look more realistic. If you feel that everything is a bit too dark, take pale flash, thin it down a lot, like 70% water, and give all the parts a general overspray. This will tone it down, connect it a bit, but all the colors will still be visible underneath. The last part is to take red tone wash again and just add a bit of spots where you think it needs, like the cheeks, around the nose, a bit on the chests, and similar. Woohoo! That's it for the skin tones. Use varnish and let them dry. We need to protect them because we will be doing a lot of masking later on and we don't want to damage the skin tones. Because if they get damaged, it's not easy to fix them and you need to do everything from the start usually. So after varnish dries, let's continue with the stockings on the legs. Use plastic putty to protect the real skin tones on fingers and heels. Next, use Noun oil and just give a light overspray to tone everything down. After that, use combination of wash medium and ash grey. I tried a few combinations and this is the one I found the best. So 10 drops of wash medium, 3 drops of ash grey color and 30 drops of water. You mix everything up and you start spraying in thin layers, little by little, evenly on all the parts that are not protected. And since we did the skin tones first, now you can choose how dark you want to go. You can leave it pretty light and it will look like a transparent stockings where you can see the skin tones underneath, or you can go darker until you found the color you like and you want to stick with. For me, I wanted the color to be pretty solid, like in anime, but I still wanted to be a bit of transparent to see the skin tones under certain lights and angles. This is all pretty subjective and you can choose how dark you want to go. Just spray it little by little, layer by layer, and let it dry in between, because when it dries it will get a bit darker. If you think to yourself just a bit more and it will be perfect, stop, let it dry, and it will probably reach that desired level because it will get darker as it dries. Also, here is one more comparison if you think that undertone doesn't matter. Here on the paper I have a pure ash grey color and it's dried and fresh, they look a bit different. And you can see the ash grey color on top of the skin undertone. To me this looks much better than the pure grey color. Okay, so let's move on. First protect all the skin tones on the body with plastic putty and then use white ink to spray everything. It will be easier to start from the lighter colors than from the dark ones.
Now we're just strangers in a crowded room, holding on to ghosts and fading blooms. If I could find a way
When you are working with the yellow color, a pinkish undertone is very good, so first use Squid Pink on the blouse. After that we're gonna use Ice Yellow and spray it over all the pink parts. It's gonna look nice and vibrant. You can also take a bit of off-white and spray it on the raised parts for the highlights. The thing is that one color can look different when you put it next to the other colors. So after I made the blouse yellow, the chest and the legs look just a bit too dark for me. So I used the combination we used before, 10 drops of wash, 3 drops of pale flesh color and 30 drops of water, to add the highlights at the top of the bust and at the top of the leg. Let's go and do the cat now. We're gonna start with the white ink and just spray it as a cenital priming. We're gonna spray it from the top. You will see now that when you look at the figure it looks white, but when you turn it upside down it has black places. That is how it's supposed to be. This is called the zenithal priming. We are simulating the sun with the airbrush. We are also gonna do this for all the other parts, except for the cape. We will leave that one black.
So tell me, can we ever find a light in the darker where we lost our way tonight? Or are we doomed to wander through the pain, chasing shadows that will never be the same?
Now we need to protect again blouse and skin parts, so use varnish on it and let it dry. After it's dry, use plastic putty to protect all the parts. I like to use these bamboo sticks and roll it next to the edges to cover all the little gaps that could form. Next, take Abyssal blue color and spray the jacket. Also, don't forget to spray the lines going from the jacket to the sleeves. One thing I want to warn you about, even though plastic putty looks like a pretty solid substance that will stay where you put it, this is what happens after just 15 minutes. It starts to move and it hangs. I mean, just look at this. Be careful so you don't put it on a model, go away, come back and just start spraying. Maybe it moved a bit from the parts that should be masked. Now let's do the cat. Use Deck 10 and spray it all over. While the cat is drying, take a bronze brown color and spray the table. Put the table to the side also and let it dry. We're gonna do the cape now. Use Evil Red and spray it all over from the outside. Use Basilisk Red and spray it from the inside. You can also use Basilisk Red on the outside just as a highlight on the raised parts. Put cape to the side, take varnish and spray top of the jacket. We're gonna mask it so we can also do this part of the cape that's attached to the body. Now protect everything. I use plastic putty and some old shirt to cover the rest of the model. First we're gonna spray it with the black, so we have the same undertone as the cape had. After it dries, use Evil Red on it. The last part is to use dark tone on cape and spray it until you get the same tone as part of the cape that's attached to the body. Spray it little by little and compare it until they look the same. Going back to the cat, use a combination of wash medium and dead white. The mix is the same as we used before in the video, so check it out if you didn't see. Spray the cat in layers, little by little, and it will become whiter and whiter. Don't go completely white, but something close. It should be a little grey. Okay, putting cat to the side, let it dry, and in the meantime grab the soft tone wash and spray it all over the table. This will give it a bit more depth. For the base, protect the upper part and leave the edges and the sides free. Grab 3 ancient color and spray it all over the unprotected parts. After it dries, do the opposite, protect the edges and the sides, and use elf skin tone to spray it everywhere from the top. After that, use Phlegon orange shade and spray it in lines. You don't need to cover everything, we are trying to make some irregularities to make it look like a wood floor. When it dries, use a combination of wash medium and elf skin tone. The same mixture we used before, 10 drops of wash, 3 drops of elf skin tone and 30 drops of water. Mix it all up and give it a general overspray from the top, and after that put some more color in the random places. Now going back to the table, protect the bowl and the table with the masking tape and spray inside of the bowl with the ice yellow. Now use Phlegon orange and spray inside of the bowl again. According to the pictures I found online, this will make it look like ramen. Well, I hope it will. Now move the masking tape to the next plate and spray it with the elf skin tone. Here I also use a bit of the strong tone to spray the table only at some places. I used it at the bottom of the bowl and under the table. But after everything got dry, I found it to be a bit too dark for me. If you like it, you leave it, that's perfectly okay. But I used a bit of a mix of wash medium and elf skin tone to spray it around the table to lighten it up. Of course, protect the inside of the bowls if you're gonna do it. For these cube toys, just use any color you like. I used Wicked Pink for the top one and Sombre Grey for the bottom one. The last thing that we can use the airbrush for is the bed. Use silver color to spray the bed so it looks clean and shiny. And that's it for the airbrush. Let's switch to the wet palette and finish all the details. Let's start with the sandals. Use bronze brown for the soles of the sandals. Be careful around the fingers so you don't cover the skin tones. I also colored the nails on the feet. I used dead white and added just a bit of the pink inside for the nails. For the sandals strap I used bone white and bronze brown for the decorations. I made 2 lines to make it a bit more interesting.
Holding on to ghosts and fading blooms. If I could find a way to make you stay, would you be here or would you drift away?
Also, since we used masking for the skin tones while making stockings, you probably don't have clean lines, so take a bit of ash gray and fix the lines to look clean and straight. Moving over to the bed, use Blood Angels Red contrast paint for the bed handle. You will also need some long and thin brush to get to the parts behind the fingers. Finish up the bed by using black on the top, middle and bottom part. Now for the cat, use dead white, thin it down and use it for the teeth and the eyes. After it dries, use deep grey and pull it between the teeth. It should be pretty thin lines, and if you make a mistake, just cover it with white. Also use this deep grey for the eyes. For the sweat droplets I used Marine Mist and I used Bloody Red for the neck color.
So tell me, can we ever find a light in the darker where we lost our way tonight? Or are we doomed to wander through the pain, chasing shadows?
For the scarf I used green skin color, and it will be pretty hard to paint the scarf on one side of the model because of the arm. You will need a very long and thin brush to reach inside and not make a mess. For the bell around the neck, I'm gonna use polished gold. It's a pretty thin paint, so watch out while applying it. You can also use it on a medallion, but I wanted for the golds to look a bit different, so I used greedy gold for the medallion. While gold is drying, use hot orange for the ears. Now for the letters on the medallion, I'm gonna use black color. And the best way to do this is to use the sides of the brush. Watch that the paint is fairly dry, because if it's thin it will drip and make a mess. Just go over the letters and since they are raised, you will automatically cover them. Use the black also for the nose and lines around the nose, whiskers, outlines around the eyes, eyebrows and eyelashes. You can also add thin lines between fingers on feet and hand to make them more distinct. Even though it's not much visible, we will use rubby skin to cover the pillows on the paws. Finish it all off by using Wyvern Fury at the top of the head. Hope you didn't forget about that ramen soup. We have some work there also to finish it up. You can use ice yellow for the noodles, and since this is a soup, lines don't need to be super clean. If you make a mistake somewhere, don't worry. I mean, it's a soup. I'm not really sure what these little cylinder looking things are, but I found some pictures online of ramen and they seem to be the green color. So use that or use some other color if you think this is wrong. Next, use sun yellow for the egg yolk and off-white color for the egg white. I wanna give meat some texture, so I'm gonna mix wash medium and pale flesh. The undertone will still be visible, but it will look more realistic. And the last thing is to use tan color for the edges of the meat. A lot of these things is personal preference, there isn't much technique required, so if you like some other color, go for it, experiment. For the bowl, I'm gonna use charred brown, and you will probably need a few layers to cover it nicely, from outside and the edges from the inside. For the little sushi rolls, I'm gonna use black color. And if you make a mistake, just cover it with the color we used for the plate. This is one of the reasons why I don't like mixing colors very much. You can always go back to the exact tone you used and fix any problem. Now we can use off-white color for inside of the sushi, the rice, and then we can add a bit of the rosy and green color to the center of it to look like fish and cucumbers.
So tell me, can we ever find a light in the darker where we lost our
I also used rosy flesh and bloody red for the fish fillet. Also putting a bit of red tone to the bloody red gave it a nicer look. To finish it off, use off-white color and make thin lines on the fillet. I don't know, what do you think? Does this look like a fillet or bread? For the plate I first used Dorado skin, but I didn't really like how it turned out, so I went over it again with the bone white. To make a bit of a separation between the plate and the table, I'm gonna use neon oil and just draw thin lines in between. Also, as you can see, there are a few chopsticks on the table. You can use any color you want. I used bronze brown. There's just one thing left, and if I'm not mistaken, this bowl is Ocaron bowl, right? Not sure. I used greedy gold on it. The table is done, so let's switch over to the jacket. I used off-white and wash medium for the sleeves. Put it layer by layer. If you go too thick, paint will dry up and it will look ugly because of all the brush strokes. So just take your time, go layer by layer, let it dry in between, and it will look good. Watch out for the blue line going down the sleeves and don't color that one. Also use off-white for the decoration lines at the bottom of the jacket. Oh man, looking at the table, I don't know if this is the case with everyone, but the closer the project is coming to the end, the more messier it looks. So let's just ignore it for now. While we were working with airbrush, we also used masking for the blouse. So now you can just grab Ice Yellow and fix all the edges of the blouse to make clean lines. For the pants, I just used Alien Purple color. Now for the bra straps, I used Nude Berry. Go slowly, be careful not to accidentally touch the skin tones, but if you do, since we protected it with varnish, you can quickly flash the color with water and use cotton swabs to remove anything that you messed up. For those big buttons on the blouse, I used Ice Yellow, same as the blouse, but I mixed it with a bit of inner light to make them pop out more. The only thing left are the little buttons on the both sides of the jacket. I just used silver on them. Also, I wanted to show you this. If you mess up by using too thick of a paint and you get some ugly texture, don't be afraid to use a bit of a sanding paper to flatten it out. Just be sure it's a very high grit paper. Here I have a 3000 grit and I use it to fix some ugly texture by sanding it out. And that's it for the jacket, for now. We're gonna get back to it one more time, but now let's switch over to the head. For the hair, I'm gonna use a mixture of dead white with a little bit of ash and a little bit of pink color. Mix it all up and put it all over the hair and eyebrows. After that, take some neon oil and start making thin lines around the head at random places, but do it in the direction that the hair is going. Also put it on the eyebrows, because they need to be a little darker. Next, mix Squid Pink and Dead White and do the same thing around the hair. Thin lines in the direction of the hair, just as we did with the neon oil. I told you we're gonna get back to the jacket one more time, so use a mixture of Dead White and Wash Medium. The combination is same as before, 10 drops of medium, 3 drops of white and 13 drops of water. Go to the sleeves and color only the raised parts. This will give it a nice highlight glow, as you can see here in the video. Now let's do the most stressful part of the project, the eyes and the face. I'm gonna show you how it looks after every step, so you can jump back and forth if you're not sure. First, start with the black color. Paint inside of the eyes, border and eyelashes. After that, use Squid Pink and paint just inside of the eyes. Leave the black border around it. Now let's take Dead White, thin it down and go over the pink. The pinkish undertone still needs to be visible, and you can also leave a bit of the pink in the corners of the eye. For the iris, we're gonna use Cyborg Brown. We need to put the iris in the corner of the eyes, because based on the position of the body and the head, she's looking to the side. Now we can use Wyvern Fury and color inside of the iris. We're gonna leave a bit of the brown outline around it. We can make pupil now. We're gonna use black color. Be sure for them to touch the upper part of the eyelid, but not the bottom part. We can also use body red and put some random lines and dots inside of the iris to give them some depth and make them more realistic. The last thing to do is to add specular highlight. Use Dead White and add white dots to the upper part of the eyes. That's it for the eyes. We can move over to the glasses. Just use some Wyvern Fury and color them carefully. For the lips, I'm gonna use Megos Purple Contrast Paint. The more layers you put with this color, the darker it will look, so try not to go over the same place more than once or twice. And when you're coloring the lips, don't color all the way from left to the right, just the middle. You see how I did it here? Even though the mouth stretches a bit wider, I didn't put any color in the corners. For the cigarette, let's just put a leva orange for the bottom part and off-white for the upper part. At the tip of the cigarette I used Blood Angels Red to make it look like it's burning, also add it a bit to the side to make it look more believable. Oh yeah, and we have a ribbon in the hair, so I'm just gonna use Bloody Red to color it. And this is it, now we just need to protect it. Use a mixture of matte and satin varnish, 3:1, and just cover all the parts. After it dries, use a bit of gloss varnish and a brush. I used it on the eyes, golden ball on the table, golden bell around the neck of the cat, and nails on hand's finger. That's it, hope you made it through. Let's glue all the parts and make a grand reveal. Roll it.
It won't go away. I've got that feeling rushing through my body. I know that it is here to stay. It's like you're my personal Illuminati. I know that some might say that
わしはおめえを捕らえてんじゃねえ。ぶっ殺してんだ。
I will be the best girl in this whole world. No, I'm not gonna bite. I got my hands on your body. So tell me what you want me to do. I can be good or be naughty. Because there ain't nobody love you like I do. Like I do. Like I do. Like I do. Like I
So this is it. It was a detailed step-by-step guide, so video got a bit long. I hope you made it through and got a cool looking model at the end. If you found this video helpful, please leave me a like, share a video, and leave a comment of what would you like to see me painting in the future videos. I listen to you guys, and if you have any wishes, let me know. Also, if you're interested in seeing me paint characters from One Piece or Attack on Titan, check my previous videos. And see you soon in the next video. Bye!
do.